What would be the results if you believe me? Now, you ready for this? Because it's quick, it's powerful, and it's sharper than any two-edged sword. When God is speaking, he is speaking from everlasting to everlasting. He's speaking from a point of total knowledge. He's speaking from an eternal standpoint. He is missing no information. He knows the beginning at the end, and he blesses you from the beginning. And when he speaks to you, he has no wrong information. When Adam told God, I am naked, God asked him, how do you know that? Because I've never told you you were lacking anything. When you see a dog or you see a cat, when you see a rat, or when you see an elephant, you don't say, there's a naked elephant. And so when man was made on the earth, God put him on the earth, and he never saw himself naked as lacking anything. Naked indicates that you see yourself now lacking something. And so there he was speaking to God, and God says, I never told you that. When I was teaching you what could be, what would bring about your progress, not what would bring about your failures. I was teaching you not what you were looking for, but who you are. And at that time, you named every animal. You did everything that was necessary. In the Salem witch hunts that took place in America, they wondered what had happened, but they gave an experiment the other day. They took them to an entirely remote place with a scene they had built. They built the scenery, they built the house, they built everything, and then they took a group of people there and said, in this experiment, they said, murders have taken place in this place. They said it's a murders, and this man said, I'm a psychic, and I can pick up spirits. And he was not that. He was a hypnotist, and he knew how to convince people of things. So when he stood there in that place and told them that information, they felt for sure that he knew what he was talking about. And they just wanted to see if that was seeded, what the people would come up with. There was one other plant that was in there, one woman, and all she said was, oh, he asked, did anybody? She said, I felt something touch my arm. And that was all they did, and they let the imaginations of the people run wild. And the people started saying they saw things, they heard things, all of that. Say, yeah, that's the spirit that was in there told me that was the spirit that was in here. It wasn't. It was scenery they had built. So they wanted to know how it could happen. And when they did the research, they found out that the man who was in charge at that time of the colony had really lied on his record, said he's tried to stop things. He had not. He said he was out of the city. He was there. They did research and found the records. So they said, how could this thing be? It happens because the mind has some powerful things to do. You can believe something that God told you, or you cannot believe it. God told Israel, he said, I've given you the promised land. The proof had been Abraham had already been there. But after 400 years of slavery, they felt somehow inadequate, incapable, and naked, that they could not accomplish what God said. It was purely in their minds. The threat was there and visible as they would see it, but it was only that, a threat. There was no power in the threat. I want to take you to this place of thought where this woman hears, she heard of Jesus, She came in the press behind, and she felt healed in the body. I start with a newsletter I wrote. God said that you're the first work of my hand, not the substitution. I wrote, and I wrote it in my book in 1975, June 5th. I wrote this other letter, and I said, Mary, I need to get this out before February 1st. I said, we need to do this. So last night, we sat to do it. But when we sat to do it, there was somebody who texted me or sent me a text early this morning from Africa, Nigeria, When distance deprives me of the presence of people that I love and cherish, I decide to make them the screensavers of my imagination, as you've always appeared in my mind at every moment. You are my life coach, my teacher, my mentor, especially you're my daddy, Adamu. See, your love, he writes, your love, encouragement, and life-transforming emails is like a silk thread that binds the world. It's a bridge that I need to cross the turbulent storms of life. Nothing can break or change it. Your disposition toward me has helped me rebuild my hope for a better tomorrow. You made a reformer out of me. I wrote him back. And as I wrote him back, I said to him, Adamu, I don't know, when you get caught up, I said, you did something to me this morning. You did something unlike anything, because you're the first voice I heard after my prayer. I prayed this morning, and I wrote, what a way to wake up. I prayed and requested God's guidance and tender mercies. Then you came like a budding tree, bearing instant fruit and Aaron's rod, and filled my heart with cheer and delightful thoughts. Thank you for those words that were the first words spoken to me today. It's 9 a.m. Sunday, and my sermon is Ideas, the Fire of Creation.